go ahead and type them in the chat. And then when I get all done, I'll review those questions. And just for later information, I'm just curious, this first page of my slide, is it full screen? So just make a note there and let me know afterwards, because I'm used to it taking up my whole laptop screen, but probably because of my consoles on the side. But anyway, so what I wanted to do, in addition to testing the software to reward your generosity of giving me your time, I just wanted to talk a little bit about quick tips for efficiency and exploring new tools. So this should probably only last 20 to 30 minutes. Again, I just wanted to give you a gift. I'm not selling my other program or anything. I just wanted you to go down this journey with me. And as we're learning on all of our courses that we've been taking, the key is to try to get people to stay with you till the end, and then you bribe them with a nice little gift. I do have a little gift. Hopefully you'll be able to enjoy it with your business that you're taking off with. So again, thanks for joining, and let's get started here. So what are we going to talk about today? So our trip is, I have 2 points that I wanted to discuss. One is email tips, and then managing your to-dos. When anybody gets into business, especially, what I found working with clients is that these are the 2 main areas that people just get overloaded, flooded. They don't know how to manage it, or things just get out of control so quickly. So I have a few tips in both of those areas. So a real brief introduction of who I am, Debbie Dybovic, and basically my background's in IT. I'm kind of an IT geek. I teach part-time at a small university. I worked as a business analyst. I'm a mom, a grandma. My 2 little grandboys live in Arizona, which I hate that they're so far away, but it is what it is. I've had different businesses that I've gotten involved in. I do consulting. I'm an entrepreneur, have a couple products that I sell on Amazon. So you name it, I've kind of dabbled in all of that. The main thing, my main loves, other than my family and God, of course, love dark chocolate, and I love to quilt, and I love being outdoors. My real passion is helping others. I really love to teach, and that's why I'm really excited about doing more of the online training and teaching, so that I feel like that I can actually help people and connect with them. So that's just a quick little nugget of who I am. So I want to test out the little poll feature that we have here on Webinar Jam. So what keeps you from being productive? So I'm going to start this little poll. And the question I'm asking is, what is your number one struggle with your business or trying to start your business? Is it finding the time to do everything, not knowing where to start, not having the resources to implement? So if you had to pick one thing, what would be your number one struggle of being productive or getting started? And if you want to go ahead and show that, and then I think once the poll gets tabulated, it will show all the results. Okay, I think all the results are in. Very good. So not knowing where to start is a big one that I've noticed with a lot of people. That seems to be the consensus in this group. So not knowing where to get started is probably a good segue into email. I mentioned that I was going to talk about 2 tips for you today. What I've noticed with people, their email systems, number one, they don't have a system. And that's really what I teach in my full course but some of the challenges that people have are an overflowing inbox. Another challenge they have is maybe they lose important information. They know something was emailed to them, but they can't find it. Or they might subscribe and they get all of these emails in their inbox and they have no idea why they're getting all this information. So I don't know if any of this sounds familiar to you, but these are some of the challenges that I've noticed that people have. And then the second segment of the seminar is just talking about how to manage all of your to-dos. And especially if you're a busy person, maybe you have a life, which is nice to have a life, and how do you prioritize things? How do you keep track of everything? The ease of trying to keep up with all these to-do lists instead of a million little sticky notes all over your desk. How do you manage that? So let's dive into some of the email tricks. There's 3 tips that I'm going to share with you today. One is the inbox to 0. The second tip is special folder names. And then the third tip is a kind of a sneaky little tip of when you sign up for emails. So, inbox to 0. Let me see if I can create a new little poll here. Let me start a poll, and I'm going to create a new one. And my poll is, how many emails are in your inbox? And excuse my typo there. So I've had some people say that they have 500, 10, 1,000. My daughter actually says she never deletes anything. So let's see if you're able to answer that question. So how many in your inbox? And I don't know if this is working or not. So I was just doing a quick test to see if I could create a poll on the fly. It's letting me preview it, but I'm not for sure if you're seeing this or not. So we'll come back to that. Okay, so my first tip, it might seem like a no-brainer, but what I recommend to people is that you create a schedule on how to deal with your email. Most people, I mean, because everything is connected, they're always looking on their phone, they hop on their computer, maybe their iPad, anything like that. But the most successful people and successful businesses, they actually have a system of dealing with their email. And the first part is they assign times. Believe it or not, the very successful people, they might only look at their email twice a day. And that's very scary for people, especially if they have clients and they're trying to, always be available in case a client calls. Part of that is training. You start training your clients and you let them know, hey, I'm very busy. I have a lot of clients I work with. I like to give them individual attention. I read my email and respond twice a day at 9 o'clock and at 4:30, something like that. So decide how you want to deal with your email. So if you think about a physician, for instance, he's not constantly running back to his office and checking his emails or dictating charts. He has specific times, he or she has specific times that they set up to handle that. You should be in control of your email and not the email being in control of you. And then what I say is to create a system of dealing with your email. So let's say your system is you're going to work in your email from 9 to 9:30 and from 4 to 4:30. So when you get into your email, the first thing you might do is scan through and see if there are some easy wins. So what I like to look for, are there things that would take a minute or less of your time to deal with that piece of email? So on my university side, the email system that I use with my students, when I get on there, it's quick to see, okay, this student is just letting me know they're going to be late for class. That student is going to be sick. Another student wants to know, can he turn in his homework late? Those are easy to deal with. Bam, bam, bam. I take care of them. I'm done. A key is you want to try to only handle your email once, if at all possible. So you look for those quick wins, you deal with it, and you're done with it. Then you have other email that maybe it takes longer. Maybe you have email, maybe you're working on a project and a team member and they've got information with you. Create a system on dealing with that. And I'm going to talk about folders in a minute, but you might have a folder for your project that you're working on this week. And this particular email relates to that project. You know it's going to take you an hour to deal with that particular subject. Then you move it over to your project folder and it's out of your inbox and you're good to go. Just like when you go into the emergency room, you know, the first thing they do, other than getting your name and your insurance, is they triage, basically. And so that's what I want you to do with your email. Start triaging the email. How important is it? Is it life or death? And how long is it going to take you? So when you apply these rules to your email, you're going to find that you're going to be able to get through all of your email. Excuse me, I got to get a Kleenex here. I'd been outside a few minutes before this session started, and all of a sudden my nose is running. So triaging your information, so then you have a way of knowing what's most important. So another good example, there's a couple of blogs that I love to read, and they're like entertainment. They lift me up. I feel good when I read them. I just really enjoy them. One of my blogs, I get something from her every single day, but I love her blogs. It might take me about 10 minutes to read her blog. Now, depending on my day, am I going to read it during my email time? Maybe. Or if I'm in the middle of a project and I'm really busy, I have a lot of other emails to deal with, then what I may do is move that over to a certain folder. Maybe it's my recreation folder. And then I know that that is there. And then, you know, maybe tonight when I'm sitting on the couch, instead of going through Facebook, I might decide, hey, I'm going to read my favorite blog person. Anyway, just come up with a system. In the class that I teach, I do talk about there are some techniques to get your inbox to zero, but the bottom line is try to get a clean slate so that every day when you go into your inbox, all you have is the stuff that you need to work on or process for that day. And train your clients that you're not 24/7, because we can't go anyplace else 24/7 and expect an immediate answer. So another tip, I made mention of it a little bit, but using folder names. One thing I like to do is for really important folders or information that I use a lot, I use a special character in the front of that folder name. Now, it depends, depending on what interface you use, what mail system, but most mail systems will let you use like an asterisk or a dash, something like that. So for instance, I have one folder, it's dash pending, pending. That sits at the top. It's one of my top folders. And in my pending folder, any email that I get, let's say it's a meeting agenda for next week, or let's say it's an airline confirmation or hotel confirmation, anything that's pending that I know I'm going to need to get my fingers on. I don't necessarily need to act on it, but I need to know where it is. Click it, drag it to my pending. It's out of my inbox. I don't have to worry about losing it or finding it, anything else. The other thing is you could create folders, again, kind of triaging. I put on here now, this week, and future. Well, now, I mean, if you can deal with it right now, you should deal with it right now. It probably should say maybe today, especially when you're first trying to get your inbox to 0. Now, you have to be careful because you don't want to drag everything to the today folder, and then all of a sudden it's unrealistic to deal with all of that. But again, let's say you've got some kind of self-imposed deadlines or information coming in on a project that you're working on, and it's something that you need to deal with this week. You can move it into that folder and you're good to go. Another thing I suggest is for you to create some archive folders. And this is especially if you have a hard time deleting emails. You know, some people, they just hate to delete it because they say, what if I need it again? So my recommendation is then to create archive folders. You could either do it by week, which I think maybe is a little too excessive. You could do it by month and by year. So if there's an email and you just don't have the heart to delete it, move it into your archive folder. And again, you've got it. And then whatever system that you've set up, then later you've got a rule that you can act on. So maybe you keep things in your archive folder for 6 months. And at the beginning of each month, you go back 6 months previous to that, and you know that, okay, all of those emails I can delete. So here's just a sample of creating some folders. Here, notice a little hyphen. This is another tip I talk about in my class. Any of your business receipts, you should create a folder for that year. And I try to get electronic receipts. A lot of stores now offer it. They say, can we email your receipt? I love that because guess what? I get that email. I can just drop it right in here for my receipts and I'm good to go. Here's the pending folder that I talked to you about. So, and notice they're at the top of the chain here. So it's always very easy for me. I can just drag things there and I know exactly where they are. And then my third tip, and Sarah, I think you noticed this on my webinar jam setup. Anytime I sign up for something, and you know, nowadays the game is just give us your email, give us your name, and you know, we're going to send you this free fabulous thing, which is great. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff out there, but I'm always curious when my email starts getting flooded and I think, why am I getting all this information, or where did this come from? So anytime I sign up for something, if I have the opportunity, sometimes they just only say, give us your email. But if they ever ask for a name or first and last name, I use some kind of little code name, because guess what? Nobody looks at the name. It's all processed in the background. It's all computer generated. So let's say maybe I signed up for somebody's free course. I might put Deb_free course, and I probably would put more details. So Webinar Jam, they had some great little training videos that were free. All they wanted was my name and my email. So when I signed up for that, I signed up as Deb WJ for Webinar Jam. So again, just an idea. And what's interesting is a couple of times, even though all of these places say that they don't share your email, a couple times I have noticed that a particular email name that I've used, it's not my email address, but my name, I have noticed getting some emails from another source, but it had that same very unique name. So I thought, oh, so somebody did actually give away my email. So anyway, it's just a little trick. And I mean, not really a trick, I guess, but to help me stay organized, because I'm an information junkie. I love information. I love to learn, and I'm always signing up for stuff. And then, you know, we're not real quick to start deleting or unsubscribing all of these emails. I mean, you probably had that experience. And then after a while, you know, I've seen this person's name over and over and over in my email box. And then I'm thinking, I don't even know why I signed up for them, even though at the very bottom nowadays, they're supposed to tell you why you signed up. So my own little system here just helps me. So that might be a tip that you want to use. All right, so the second tip that I wanted to share with you was managing to-dos. So again, it just seems like our list is never ending, especially when we're starting a business or we're, running a business. The key really is defining those systems, but to have the right tools, to have the right connectivity, and to use reminders in a way that's going to help you. So I'm just going to talk about that for a quick minute. So 3 tools that I've been enjoying. Todoodle. I don't know if you've ever heard of this. It's an awesome tool, and all of these have free versions, and then I think you can upgrade. Todoodle is really nice because it's an online to-do system, and you can assign categories, and you can kind of customize those categories. Basically, it's kind of like very important, information only, things like that. The other thing, though, that I like about Todoodle, couple things. One, you can set it so that it will send you reminders. So, let's say I said that I would speak at a conference next month, and next week, maybe I want to start working on my PowerPoint presentation. I could assign a to-do item in Todoodle, and I could set on the calendar, remind me of this next week. And you can also set kind of drop dead dates in the sense of when it has to be completed. The other really cool thing about Todoodle is you can sync it with your email. And so basically you type a little phrase that you set up, and I think mine is called to Deb or something, Todoodle Deb. And if let's say I get an email, again, let's say it's the agenda for that presentation I'm going to do next week, and I get an email about it. So what I can do is I can actually forward that email to Todoodle with a date. And again, it's just another place that it's collecting that information and it's assigning it as a to-do. So then in my to-do list, it's there. It's got the date assigned. I can set reminders. It's just really a nice tool. Another tool that I've just recently started using is Trello. This is a very visual, basically you create boards, almost like bulletin boards. You can have unlimited boards, and then on each board, you can have a card. So basically, it's kind of like these little index cards. So on each board, you can have multiple index cards. And then the really cool thing is on the index card, you can put more than just text. I mean, you can add images, you can like link it to other people. If you get the paid version, you can assign people on your team. You can add web links. I just saw one person demonstrate using it for her menu planning, she really had a cool system for that. And then she had boards for each day or each type of meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then she had weekly cards of what they were going to eat. And then she could also incorporate it into like a grocery list. And so she could grab one card, copy it over, and then there her grocery list was. But anyway, it's very visual. It could be collaborative, and it can be up in the sky. The other tool that I have used for years and years and years, it's, I think, one of Microsoft's secret products that not many people use, and I don't understand why. It's called OneNote, and again, it's free. I think they give you about 5 gigabytes of storage. It's in the cloud. Basically, OneNote is an electronic notebook. So just like a regular notebook, you can create like section tabs and then unlimited pages under each section tab. Again, you can have images, text. You can actually have voice recording, video. You can upload documents. So when I was teaching on a more of a full-time basis, I would upload everything for my classes in OneNote. And so I would have a notebook for the classes I taught at that one school. Another fun little thing to use OneNote for is you can use it for your home management book. There's a lot of people that talk about have a notebook that has, oh, I don't know, all of the documentation, all the stuff that you have to maintain, maybe warranties for your house. The list could go on and on. Anyway, I love OneNote and I use it a lot. You can download the app to run on your phone. I actually use OneNote to keep track of like shopping lists or like future things that I'm going to look for. Anytime I have one of those aha things that I want to follow up in the future, create a little note on OneNote, and I always have it. And then the other thing I was going to mention, whatever tool you use, and again, we're talking about trying to stay organized, try to stay on top of your to-dos, whatever system you come up with, make sure that it's in the cloud. You'll want something that you can download. So for instance, OneNote, you can actually download the whole electronic notebook so that you've got it on your system, but then it will sync to the cloud whenever. So if you're not always with, if you don't always have stable internet, then once you do connect to the cloud, it will sync. So again, OneNote, Dropbox is another good tool. And then of course, Google Drive. So just on a quick item, I guess, here about reminders. So you're trying to grow your business, you're living a very busy life. How do you keep track of all of this stuff? Again, as I'd mentioned earlier, one way is it doesn't have to be Todoodle, but something that integrates with your email system so that you can set up reminders. More than just, I have a doctor's appointment, but reminders of when you're doing your work and doing your planning. Okay, I know I need to block out 2 hours next Monday to work on that PowerPoint presentation. So I'm going to lock it in my schedule and I'm going to be sent a reminder. You can also use the calendar. I've got some great calendar blocking ideas for people. That's another way. And to use timers. And even a simple thing, so going back to our email, if you come up with a system, you're only going to work on your email 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the afternoon, set a timer. I mean, literally, because we think, I'll remember. But what happens is we get so caught up in the moment. And timers really keep us focused and on track so that we can continue on because we're in charge. Our computer's not in charge. Our email, our inbox, none of that's in charge. We are. So we want to put the hammer down, so to speak, and set those timers. So just a quick recap, kind of as a thank you for joining me on this journey today. Whatever business, whatever venture that you're going into, you want to create some systems and some productivity tips to keep you in line, keep you moving forward. So hopefully some of the email tips that I shared with you today will help you, and some of the to-do tips also. So here we are at the end of our seminar here, and I want to thank you so much. And I do have a little gift, and so I'm going to see if I can get my little file sharing here to work.